Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome back to Watchbox, and this week in watches. As you can see, I am a solo aviator tonight, as Josh is in fact flying back from Washington, D.C. He couldn't make it, so you folks will join me as my co-pilot tonight. We've got a great program, the new watches, this or that ×2, and of course our live chat box. So let me see, who's joining us in the live chat tonight? Friends from around the world, chime in. And as ever, send your wrist shots to Monday Mailbag at thewatchbox.com so you can get your wrist shot and your watch in this coming Monday's mailbag. Oh, right, Matt Foster, Philip Hayden, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show, guys. Shannon, welcome aboard. Tonight, we're wearing a watch you guys know well, but perhaps haven't seen in a little while. I feel like it's been ages since I've worn my Reverso Tourbillon. As you can see, it's a mighty midget of a watch, only 42 millimeters lug to lug, but absolutely gorgeous. Still my dream watch. The Grail watch that you own that remains the Grail watch is the best of all. White gold caliber, sunray coat. You can see the black polished tourbillon cage and the hand-engraved cadrons around the cage. Beautiful watch on the other side too, very stealthy, ruthenium dial, hand-painted numerals, and it's actually got a coaxial power reserve right under the hands. This is the watch that I bought in late 2015, right after we found out that Watch You Want was going to be acquired by Goffberg. So this is my Unity watch right here. Two sides to the watch, two sides to the company. Wonderful milestone for me and the entire company. All of us watching online, I can see Emil, I can see Tom P, Thumper JDM, I can see Brent Decker and Robert Greenheck joining us. Okay guys, we're going to do a this or that, and since Josh is not here, you are going to tell me through the chat box which of these watches you think should get the nod. Now, we often talk about the best of the best in terms of resale, market stability, and brand equity being Patek Philippe and Rolex, but it's rare to see them actually going head-to-head against each other in the market. They sort of play on different levels at different price points, often to completely different clienteles. But this or that tonight is all about premium pilots' watches, and we've got a proper head-to-head between these two titans. The Patek Philippe 5524G and the Rolex Gmt Master 2 116719, the BLRO. Okay, here it goes, guys. Let me know in the live chat which one of these you would pick for yourself, and no getting the more expensive one to sell it, buy the other and pocket their difference, okay? You gotta pick it to keep it. So Patek Philippe 5524G Calatrava Pilot Travel Time. This is a little bit of an imaginary watch. Yes, you could argue there are some prototypes in the Patek Museum that are sort of pilot-ish, but this watch is purely an act of imagination on the part of Terry Stern, and a wonderful one. Launched in 2015 at Basel World, it was a controversial piece, a love or hate piece, but the people who love it deeply. 42 millimeters by 10.8 millimeters thick in white gold. It's gray gold. You scratch it, it doesn't need to be plated. There's more white metal underneath. Its signature is a rich blue-grained dial, which really shows best in person under the loupe, and it features a convenient dual-time display that'll be very familiar to Aquanaut 5164 travel time fans. The difference here is that it does feature those two crowns on the 9 o'clock side that have quarter-turn locking mechanisms, so once you've set your time for your reference time zone, it actually stays that way until you unlock the crowns once more. Partly as a result of this mechanism, this one's water-resistant to 60 meters rather than the standard Calatrava 30. A rare Patek sports watch that is not a Nautilus or an Aquanaut. Think about it, guys. There are not many that meet that description. And it's powered by a caliber 324 automatic with the travel time complication. You can see beautifully executed free-sprung unidirectional winding, about a 40-hour power reserve. It's got a free-sprung Gyromax style architecture that you can see to better advantage there with the full screen. Ceramic rotor bearings, does not hack, which is a handicap, and one that I find in this day and age Patek's going to have to move past fast, possibly with a new generation mainstream automatic, but absolutely gorgeous. Retails for $47,630. Here's the thing though it costs a little over $9,000 more than the Rolex, it may have a lower cost of ownership because though the BLRO white gold GMT does tend to lose value when purchased, a little bit, not a lot, but some, this watch tends to sell over list price on the secondary market. So you pay more up front, but you might get it back again. Patek warranties, still 2 years, so the Rolex is going to get the nod with its 5-year assurance. All right, depreciation is not really a thing with the Patek. Limited production, but not limited edition. So you're going to see a few of them, but it's not a numbered series. Okay, I can see Shannon is already saying the Patek, the travel time complication is simply great. He's biased, though, because he owns a 5164 Aquanaut travel time. Philip Hayden is saying GMT all day. It's a roadmap Rolex for him. It's a watch he is going to own. Cesar is actually saying Patek Philippe, and I can see that we're getting from Matt Foster a vote for Patek Philippe. Fjord Prefect, welcome aboard. Tom P, GMT Master 2 without a second thought. Keep them coming, guys, because I am going to declare a winner. I'm going to do an eyeball count to the chat box. Let me know which one you'd prefer. Jason Yen, welcome from Vancouver, Canada. I can see Maurice is saying, hey, Tim Masso from England, and Fjord Prefect, from a viewpoint of horology, Patek has the upper hand here. Todd Piasecki and JBO Surf, welcome from far and wide. Okay, here's the opposition. This is the watch you're measuring against the white gold travel time Calatrava. It's the Rolex GMT Master 2 116719 BLRO, the Bleu Rouge, the watch that came out in 2014, the one you forgot because, honestly, we were all blinded by the Milgauss Z Blue and the then new and cool Sea Dweller 4000 that year. It was a bumper crop for Rolex 2014. So 40 millimeters by 13 millimeters thick, it is a good solid 2.5 millimeters thicker than the Patek. Rich Serichrome bezel is used to calculate a third time zone, so you've got a little bit of functionality. If you're handy with math on the spur of the moment, you can briefly calculate 3 time zones if you set the 24-hour hand to GMT. Rolex's own gray gold case, they make their alloys, they make their cases, beautifully executed like the Patek. It's a solid homogeneous alloy. You scratch it, it does not need to be plated. There's more white metal underneath, still 18 karat of course. And because of that case, the solid case back, the golden bezel underneath the Serichrome, and all solid links with the milled out clasp, this is a massive block of gold. A white gold Rolex on a full bracelet feels like any other watch in platinum. Now, Rolex press photos do not do it justice. They simply don't show the lustrous, gleaming quality of the entire watch. More vivid in real photos and in person, as well as on the wrist. Mechanically competent, caliber 3186, power reserve similar to the Patek, about 3 to 5 hours longer in practice. A COSC rated Swiss chronometer, Rolex rates this for -2 +2 over 24 hours, and it is recertified to that standard once cased up. COSC is just the movement, remember. Okay, dual time, and here's the kicker. If this is going to be a watch you depend on heavily for all occasions, and white metal gives it versatility, 100-meter water resistance here is just more serious than the 60-meter of the Patek. This is a watch you can take swimming with no second thoughts or concerns. Finally, the 5-year warranty sets the standard for the industry. I don't understand why this watch, for $9,000 less than the Patek, has 5 years of protection with whispers of a 10-year service interval from Rolex. Not codified, but the 5-year warranty is the real deal. $38,250, so you do pay less up front than the Patek, but it also depreciates. That said, Brian Govberg told me that a little bird told him that this watch may be discontinued this year. So once the gate closes, who knows how the market might react. They did not make many of these. I can see right here Maurice is saying Patek for me. I can see N. Manukari is saying GMT. Fjord Prefect is saying real statement watch. I believe they both are, to be perfectly honest. Dave Lemieux, greetings from Western Massachusetts. Dave, which one would you take, the Calatrava Pilot Travel Time or the GMT Master in white gold? Bengali Mia, welcome aboard. Yahya, thank you for joining us from Egypt. I realize it is late at night there. All right, it looks like by a very narrow margin, you guys picked the GMT. I'm going to say that I love the Patek, and that would probably be my choice here, only because I've had the chance to handle them both, and of the two, the Patek was more provocative. Everyone loves the white gold Pepsi GMT. The one problem is that it's just mega expensive, but no one dislikes the aesthetic or the concept. People just wish it was steel. With the Patek, there are a lot of people who went out and said Patek should not have made this watch. Longines, Zenith, IWC, this is their neck of the woods. Patek should not be playing here. Because Patek dared to be different and defend something that is too rare in the industry these days, I've got to pick this watch in style and in the spirit of provocateur. All right, guys, moving along, we're going to give you another chance because we have two this or that's tonight. And Peter Cervelli, I'm going to give you the last word on this or that GMT. Doesn't put it over the top, but all the same. Not for me, but you guys did pick the GMT as a group. Okay, so stay tuned. When the broadcast ends, Tim Masso on Instagram. That's Tim_Masso, and you can continue to follow the action. I post frequently. I try to keep it fun, and because video is kind of my thing, I post more video than still images. Tim_Masso on Instagram when the show ends. Plus, if you're not already subscribed here, please subscribe. Okay, new watches, guys. Interesting watches coming out at many price points. We're going to start at the top for now. Glashutte Original Senator Cosmopolite. This one's the minimalist world traveler. Minimalist in that this watch originally launched in gold in 2015. You could get it in white, you could get it in rose, but it originally launched in gold back in 2015 with stylized Roman numerals, now available in stainless steel with more legible applied indices. It's a bit of a stripped down complication. You're not paying for the gold anymore, you're just paying for the watchmaking, and a formidable piece it is. Still 44 by 14 millimeters thick in stainless. The variant retains the advanced travel functions of the original watch, which, as you can see, give you 36 time zones. So this is a watch that really does attempt to hit all the wickets. Not the 24 conventional world time layout, 36 with the potential that that disc may have to be revised in the future. Bold. Now the watch. Home time is adjusted with the crown at 2. Destination time is adjusted with the crown at 4, which is bidirectional for traveling east and west. Note the windows at 8 as well as the crown at 8, which is used to set your current time zone. Now those two windows right there are your destination time. They can accommodate daylight savings or standard winter time. And here's what really makes this watch different. Just like, for instance, the JLC Geographic complication, it does the math for you. Unlike the Geographic, depending on the time zone, it will step both hour and minute hands in hour, 30-minute, and 15-minute increments. Very impressive, if a bit perplexing. Again, they call this the minimalist, but I don't think a watch with that many hands, that many crowns, that many apertures, and that many time zones could ever be minimal in any traditional sense, but in steel, I like the value proposition. Now, caliber 8902 offers 72 hours of power reserve, a beautiful micro rotor architecture. So this is caliber 8902, in-house Glashutte Original, same movement as the original 2015 version, 72-hour 3-day power reserve with micro rotor and a free sprung balance on a freehand engraved full balance bridge with a duplex swan's neck. It's gorgeous. It is a different way of finishing a watch than you're going to find from just about anything hailing from Switzerland, France, or Japan. This is all Saxony right here. Now, I see a comment from Yahia saying it looks like an IWC Portuguese. It's a big Teutonic inflected watch, so yeah, there's a little bit of that there, but this complication is highly original. The fact that they could make it intelligible is all to the credit of Glashutte. I will say this though, JBO Surf answering, okay, saying no is the short answer. It looks like there's a question thread coming out. Evening Tim from Simon Holt. Question, Shannon saying there's not really a comparable watch in Lange's portfolio. Well, there is the Lange 1 time zone, which is a world time watch that can do the math, but only for 24 principal time zones. It is not this sophisticated. This is a path beyond very few outside of the likes of Vacheron Constantin are attempting to literally accommodate every time zone. And this, by far, is more intelligible to read than Vacheron's effort. This thing's still pretty unique. Okay, and comments coming through. Ben Haddon saying, I feel like Glashutte sits in the space between Lange and Nomos, and for some reason that feels like a no man's land. Despite the quality, something feels uninteresting. I would say that GO is kind of the lost man of Swatch's portfolios. They had watches in the 90s and the 2000s, like the Julius Osman series, that could be considered the equivalent of anything that Lange does, but also the equivalent of Grand Complications from Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, Vacheron. And frankly, when you have a company that's capable of doing that, but they have to be accommodated in a stepped pyramid of brands, prices, and market strata, it's difficult to place, especially when Swatch is basically Omega, Breguet, Longines, plastic watches, and everything else. So I really feel like this roughly 10,000 to 12,000 watch a year brand needs a bit more free rein to express itself, define itself, set itself apart from both the other German watchmakers and the other stuff in the Swatch group. But there's tremendous potential here. They have everything from their own toolmaker training program to a watchmaker training program to their own Saxon watchmaking museum. The potential here is huge. If I had to compare it to another I would say underachiever with huge potential and a great history, I would almost say this is like a German version of Zenith. You're just kind of waiting for all that ability to explode and become a supernova. That's sort of how I feel about these guys. Okay, so Matt Forster saying, look at the Glashutte Original Sport Evolution Chrono in black, sporty. That's a fact. Also look at the Sport Evo Impacts if you want a German-made watch that you can chuck off the table like I did with my JLC Extreme World Alarm. Okay, so we have more new watches tonight from the top of the market to the entry level. A strong play from Auris, and the second edition of this watch since 2015. It's the Auris Thelonious Monk Limited Edition, created in honor of American jazz pianist and composer Thelonious Monk. He died in 1982, so it's in honor of his memory, but it is a 40mm stainless steel, thin, automatic winding dress timepiece with a striking sunburst blue dial, and this one really does have a rich and explosive grain. The photos don't quite do it justice, but I've seen the original version of this, and it really pleases in the hand. It feels 3, 4, 5 times as expensive as it is. Now, the watch includes extra minute markers between 10 and 12 because jazz is all about dissonance, and Thelonious Monk had that dissonant style. Without being offensive to the ear, he was able to throw the listener. And so we have more than 10 hash marks between 10 and 12 on the dial. Subtle, super subtle, and blue note inflected. This is a watch with a custom case back that features a play on a ring Monk once wore, in which you could read his name backwards and Monk almost looked like the word no. So you have a custom case back and a Sellita automatic caliber SW200 automatic winder underneath. Now technically this is the second series of the watch, so there will be 2,000 pieces of these, this being a 1,000 piece run for 2018, but $1,920 with a customized box set. This is an attractive play from Auris. They have an interesting way of picking up on namesakes for brief runs and custom editions that are way outside the mainstream of public consciousness. Think about this and the Carl Brashear Divers 65, and you really get a sense that they're doing their research to find folks who are not just current blue chip celebrities. And in this case, a Blue Note celebrity. So I would have to say that you'll also save considerable cash if you buy this piano composer themed limited edition over the AP Piano Forte at, well, that was $44,000. So again, you're coming out way ahead if you choose the Auris. Okay. So now we have a question. Tim, what is the wrist shot email if I want to send you my watch for your Monday mailbag show? That is mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com. Send me your name or your internet handle and a picture of your watch on your wrist, and it'll be on my show. I also see right here, we have JBO Surf commenting on our Glashutte, saying he agrees with Ben that Glashutte is technically solid and high quality, but there is no I must have one factor. May I recommend a look at the Senator Diary for complication. Set your alarm out to a time 31 days in advance. Very special. And also take a look at the Pano and Panomatic inverse watches, which are very distinctive of this manufacturer. I think in those two watches they have the root of a legacy moving forward. I can also see JBO Surf saying he's a fan, but he wants to see a Derek Smalls Jazz Odyssey limited edition. And we have from Joshua Polanski, Monk is a great tribute. And right here from JBO Surf, he gets the reference. He loves Spinal Tap. And Joshua Polanski saying, not a fan of Auris, but this is a nice clean watch. AH, hello from New York. Mitchell joining us from Melbourne, Australia. You and JBO joining us from the other side of the world. Also, I can see Joshua Polanski giving a shout out to Gio saying, Panomatic is cool, he will say. And Watch Lover in Hawaii, hi Tim. Hi, Watch Lover. Welcome. Okay, so now from Thelonious Monk to Bell & Ross. This is a more modern marquee, a company only established in 1992, and they are introducing the Bell & Ross BR0392 Night Loom. So this is right in their wheelhouse in terms of style and price point. Now, they are a Paris-based company that assembles in Switzerland. Not too widely known is that they're actually owned by Chanel. And here they're updating their core collection with a new 42mm black ceramic pilot's watch with a high contrast dial dubbed Night Loom. Now, unlike the 46mm BR01, the BR03 is more wearable and versatile at 42 square. Since 2005, the Instrument series and its descendants have really been central to the identity and success of Bell & Ross, and the company's fortunes seem to wax and wane with this collection. I've seen the historically inspired series. I've seen some of their high-concept tourbillon and jewelry watches. Those never work for me. This is Bell & Ross being its Bell & Rossiest, and I think this is where its fan base, if it has a loyal fan base, this is where they are. So last year's Horograph and Horolum, clean in design, simple in architecture, and well-priced, represented a welcome return to form for Bell & Ross's entry-level series of instrument-inspired watches. This year's Night Loom emphasizes extreme legibility, both with its day-glow colors in the light and with the extreme luminescence and extreme amount of superluminova in C3 luminova variant applied to the dial and the hands. A basic Sellita automatic caliber SW300 is inside. Hacking seconds, a date with a quick set, very discreetly done with a monotone date disc. 100-meter water resistance is promised here, so this is a versatile watch. Although the black watch look doesn't work everywhere, this is a pilot's watch that you can also take swimming, and you do get a good deal of extreme legibility with that day-glow luminova being so striking in the dark. And once again, this is a watch with a case by G&F Chatelaine, which is a Chanel property that does the Chanel J12 ceramics, and they do some of the best ceramic in Switzerland. It's little known that outside of Swatch, Hublot, and G&F Chatelaine, there are not many OEM suppliers of ceramic cases, and Bell & Ross is lucky to have access to one of the best. Now, the watch is priced at $3,800 US. And that's very appealing when you consider you get that textile strap that you see there, plus an aged suede calfskin strap, plus a tool to swap between them. Sub $4,000 in ceramic with accessories included. I like this watch. Okay, Joshua Polanski saying, it's pretty cool. It looks like a reverse Panda. Just get worried about these collaborations not being timeless. Maybe you guys are talking about something else that we discussed tonight. But I can see right here, Cam is saying, this is a interesting watch for a guy looking to match his gun with his watch at the gun range. Or possibly tactical knives. There's that too. I see Jason, my Monday co-host, being a guy who would be into this look. Also, I can see that right here we have Jawed joining us from Pakistan, and Bengali saying, Bell & Ross need to do something else to entice us. He's saying that these Instrument series derivatives are not enough. What do you guys think? Do you like this? Are you fans of this watch? Would you buy it? Is $4,000 just right, or is it too much? At what price would this be interesting? Or tell me what you'd like to see from Bell & Ross at this or any price. Matt Foster saying he's not a fan of the Bell & Ross style, but G Angel is saying too squared perhaps. JBO saying Stonehenge. We're continuing with the Spinal Tap references in the chat box. There was like some parallel thread of discussion going on. I missed the beginning of it. I don't think I'm going to be able to backtrack. All right, so right here I can also say that Andrew ST12 is saying, not a fan of this watch at all. I prefer their vintage style. Okay, if you guys want to go take a look at the BR126, that 123, that's the vintage style of which he speaks. It's a round watch style, it's integrated lug, it's very much in the vein of something like an IWC Mark 11. So Bell & Ross does those two. Looks like they have their fans. Thumper JDM saying that is a $1,500 watch, not a $3,800 watch. Todd Piasecki pointing out that Bell & Ross does have new round cases. Cam M saying that I think it's trying to attract a younger audience. Triple D saying he is a Bell & Ross fan. He owns the Turn Coordinator and the 10-year anniversary, and he loves this watch. And he asks, what do I think of the Renault collaborations? Of course, Bell & Ross partnering with Renault in F1, and some of the watches coming out at a completely different price point in the 30s, the $20,000 range. Impressive watches, and you can actually see my reviews of them on my Watchbox Reviews channel. I think when you're playing in that range, once you're up against Royal Oak Offshores, you're ambitious, maybe too much so. I like the watches. I'm not sure that I like them as alternatives to something entirely handmade and hand-finished like a Royal Oak Offshore, but I'm encouraged to see Bell & Ross not abandoning the entry level while attempting to play in that league. I think it doesn't hurt to cover your bases at the top and bottom of the price spectrum. Okay, Mark Lisenby joining us. Happy Friday. And Aeolus 1982 asking, are these cases in ceramic? A PVD would look like crap in a few years. Yes, this watch, this BR03, is in ceramic. I was explaining earlier that they own their own through Chanel, which owns both them and G&F Chatelaine. They have their own ceramic case factory. So not only is it a ceramic case, but it's from a very reputable and long-standing ceramic manufacturer that's been doing ceramic since the late 90s. One of the best. Okay, Cam confirming ceramic, and Andrew ST12 saying you don't buy a Bell & Ross new. That's true. Retail and resale are very disparate with this brand, which means, though, they make some of the best pre-owned watch buys, and we always have good inventory on the watch box. Had to throw that out. Fjord Prefix saying, according to Tim, this is a Sellita-powered watch. That's a fact. It's a Sellita SW300, which is effectively an ETA 2892 made by Sellita. Okay. Now, moving along, Eddie Landsberg joining. Eddie, we love you. You're usually first in the chat box. We love you late all the same. From a brand that is near and dear to my heart, lost in the flood of the 2018 Jaeger LeCoultre Polaris collection, is perhaps their best of the year, the Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso Tribute Small Seconds. We didn't talk about it for SIHH. I had a quick video, and that was it. It didn't get much press in the watch media. It didn't get much press on the blogs. It didn't get much press in print, Instagram. This is awesome. 2018, easily the best 2018 JLC novelty. Why? Well, on paper, it's beautifully proportioned. 45.6 lug to lug, 27.4 millimeters wide by 8.5 millimeters thick, unisex viable. Consider that 8.5 millimeters is darn close to the Royal Oak 15202 extra thin from Audemars Piguet. That's 8.3. This JLC with the revolving case is 8.5. Now, the traditional bare case back allows for customization, but that's not the story here. The kicker is the magic dial, and that's the only way I can describe it, because I took this photo. That's how it looked in person. Under certain light, the dial turns royal purple. It turns sunburst metallic royal purple from that cobalt metallic blue. So guys, if you could show the blue alongside that purple with the full screen, that would be absolutely awesome, because this watch has a completely unadvertised feature that is getting talked up on the fora right now, and I think for $7,950, this might be the coolest sub-$10,000 watch at SIHH this year. And again, it's not part of the Polaris collection, so no one was talking about it. And again, just turns that purple on the spot. So caliber 822 manual provides 45 hours of power reserve from a shaped and sized movement appropriate for the case, the sign of a true manufacturer. To clarify, it has a Fagliano designed navy blue strap. It is not a Fagliano made strap because then the watch would probably cost $10,000. But it is Fagliano designed. It has their signature material cut and grain. And it looks and feels absolutely spectacular. It comes on a full steel deployant, so they didn't pinch pennies here either. $7,950. Guys, do you like this watch? And I can see Aeolus 1982 saying, combine it with a velvet jacket. Waltz 11 saying, other dial colors easier to obtain. Yahia is saying, mesmerizing. AH is asking, $7,950 US dollars. Matt Foster asking the MSRP, question answered, and Fjord Prefix saying, hidden aubergine, Bengali likes the watch. For me, this is the JLC of 2018 so far, and the one I would be most likely to spend my own money to buy. I will also say an unadvertised feature of the watch is that you can remove both sides of the strap and the deployant clasp using just your fingernails. They all have pull tabs or quick releases, so if you want to accessorize with JLC textile, calfskin, alligator, or horse shell cordovan, you can easily do that without any strap tools. Really cool watch tonight. Okay, Ryan H saying, I love this watch. Bruno G saying, love it. And I can see, once again, JBO Surf asking, deep purple supercar, yes. On a watch, I'll take the blue. Well, the nice thing about this watch is it's both. Okay, guys, interactive tonight. AH asking, is that JLC limited? No. And Robert Greenheck saying, love that purple. And Joshua Polanski commenting on the quick release strap system, saying he's so happy these companies are making changing straps easier. And Ryan H saying, I suggest we call it the Reverso Blurple. I'll call it the Blurple. This is the Blurple, guys. Start the campaign now. This is a forum nickname for the ages, the Reverso Blurple. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but it does fit. Okay, guys. So now we have a this or that bonus round. Okay, so we talked about high-end watches, white gold pilot's timepieces. So if you're one of those private jet pilots operating as a commissioned full-time consort to a high roller, possibly in Las Vegas, possibly in Monaco, that's for you. This is for the rest of us. This or that bonus round blues for the average man. Okay, we're talking about the Tudor Heritage Black Bay Blue and the Sin T2B, that is the EZM15. I get a lot of questions about Sin here, guys. We don't feature them on the show too often. I think this is a great way to work them into the discussion. Okay, so let's talk about these two watches, and for you guys just joining us, this is a this or that, and I'm actually taking my cue from the live chat box. You're going to pick the winner between Tudor and Sin Urin. Okay, Tudor Heritage Black Bay Blue. This is a watch that came out in 2016. Now, watches like this lead me to believe that Tudor knows exactly who its audience is. Vintage collectors who want a modern watch for the daily drive, or aspiring vintage collectors who can't quite play in the vintage Tudor Rolex realm. But then they announce promotions like this, and I wonder if they actually do know who their audience is. That's Lady Gaga wearing a Tudor Heritage Black Bay. This is on the front page of the Tudor website. I'm not saying they're wrong, but does that strike you as the typical red bar vintage snob? I'm going to leave that as an open question for the sake of diplomacy. That said, 41 millimeters in stainless steel with 200-meter water resistance and a vintage-inspired big crown with a matte blue bezel, delivered on a bracelet, so you get value, and shipped. So we have that on a bracelet right here, which you can see is like a rivet-style bracelet, vintage, not a true rivet, but a vintage-style rivet style, and it ships with an accessory blue strap, so you get that thrown in, that accessory blue strap with the watch when you buy it for no extra cost. Now, you see that simulated rivet pattern like an old Rolex 7205 rivet bracelet. Again, back when Tudor and Rolex shared cases, bracelets, and clasps. That was stylish. Manufacturer caliber 5602 here, so automatic winding, 70-hour power reserve, free sprung, full balance bridge. It is a chronometer. It features hacking seconds. It's got a silicone hairspring, something that's still quite rare in Rolex movements, so you get a lot with this Tudor caliber. $3,675. The advantage of this watch lies in the brand name, the accessory strap that's thrown in, and the quality of the movement. Okay. Comment coming here from Andrew ST12. Beckham was seen wearing the Pelagos LHD recently. Now that's an ambassador who makes a little bit more sense for me from a guy's sports watch perspective. Ryan H saying, before I even review the Sin, he would go with the Tudor, but their advertising is questionable. I think I can agree with you on both counts there. Bengali Mia saying, Tudor use a lot of odd celebs for their watches, and he's saying neither of these. Fjord Prefect is saying, does this model have the MT5612? No, that watch has that's in the Pelagos, that has a date. This is the MT5602. Okay, but let's consider what Sin is offering. Now, the Sin T2B EZM15 is a watch from Deutschland that is built like a U-boat. Bead blasted titanium in grade 5 and a tegimented steel bezel that's been face hardened and heat hardened to resist scratches and scuffs. It includes a captive bezel mechanism. The value of the Sin right up front is in its toughness and the features it includes, not its movement. But it features a captive bezel that you have to push down and then turn. Think of the Auris Pro Dive series and you get the general idea. That one you pull up, this one you push down to turn. Okay, now it also has a copper sulfate insert inside the watch that can absorb a certain amount of moisture that might ingress. Up to a point, it can actually desiccate itself to avoid moisture in the watch. Grade 5 titanium case in 41 millimeters. It's about 13.3 millimeters thick, so grade 5, not grade 2 for toughness, and it's actually thinner on the wrist than the Tudor by about 1.5 millimeters. Okay, dial and bezel. I should also mention that it features a unique shielded crown at 4 o'clock, so they're bringing the crown out of the line of fire. I don't think you'll ever damage the crown on the Heritage Black Bay. All the same, Sin is going out of their way to keep the crown out of harm's way, and I do appreciate that attention to detail. Dial and bezel with bicolor loom. Again, all of the value in the Sin is in its toughness and its tool features. You have that desiccation tablet. You have that special captive bezel. You have 2 different colors of Luminova on the bezel, the minute's hand, and the seconds hand to make it easy to distinguish at a glance in the dark. Independently certified to beat both German and European dive watch standards. So it's certified to meet and beat both of those, and ultimately down to 2,000 meters or 200 bar, far more than the 200-meter depth of the Tudor. But do ask, if you're wearing these watches as luxury articles, how much reserve resistance you really need. I can see we're getting comments right here from Phil saying, well priced for a sub, that's the Tudor. And I can see that Ryan H is saying, I'd go with the Tudor. I can see Bengali saying right here that robust watches from Sin are their hallmark. JBO Surf commenting on the tegimented case. I believe this one only has a tegimented bezel to shield the case. Andrew ST12 saying, Tim, has JLC contacted you to become their ambassador? Not yet, just yet. Not yet. Jam064 saying, let's hear about the Sin. Okay, I'm getting through the Sin. Well, it's powered by an ETA 2892, so 42-hour power reserve. It does fall a little bit behind the Tudor in toughness and power reserve, but not far in toughness. The 2892 can take a beating, and I once crashed one of those calibers on a bike in a Omega Bond Seamaster, so don't underrate an ETA in that regard. A blue rubber strap is available but not included, but then again the watch costs $3,160, so for the couple of $100 that you save on this over a Tudor, you could go out and buy that accessory strap and still pocket the difference relative to the Tudor. Shannon saying, that Deutschland made my day. He's a fan of the Sin. I can see, it looks like Bengali is choosing the Sin over the Tudor. Sebastian Palacios is saying, Sin offers a lot given the price. I would say you go with the Sin on 3 counts. First, they do offer a lot of toughness between that tegimented bezel, the blasted grade 5 case, the fact that they use a couple of different colors of Luminova to make this an easier watch to read. It is a tool watch after all. The fact that they have a desiccation tablet to dry out the interior of the watch. The fact that it is water resistant to 2,000 meters and certified independently to withstand beyond that. Just the fact that this watch appears to be designed for rough and tumble use and getting beaten to death, whereas the Tudor appears like it's a vintage snob's fashionista play, at a new watch price with a new watch warranty. I don't dislike the Tudor, but I feel like the Sin is completely without pretense, and since they're principally a direct sale company, it's almost completely without advertising. So their word of mouth is going to be their advertising. That's going to be how they get the word out. Tudor with Lady Gaga, again, I'm going to reserve judgment, but I think you know how I feel about that. I can also see that right here we have Thumper JDM saying, so the bezel is like a child-proof prescription bottle cap. Yes, on the Sin, that's exactly how it works. I can also say that Dave Lemieux is saying Sin for me. He's owned a 656 since 2002. He prefers tie for a large watch over the steel of the Heritage Black Bay. Remember, the Pelagos is tie, but the Black Bay is steel. I can also see Captain Zed joining us, and Philip B saying that the tie is a lot lighter. Shannon saying, well, we're the two Germans here, him and Aeolus 1982, so they're going with the shout-out for Sin and presumably the EZM15. Robert Greenheck, a customer of ours, saying, I'll take the Sin. I like German watches like the TWIW line, made tough. And that's true. We do need more German sports watches. Lange, do you hear me? If you've got something new to add to the space, Glashutte, if you've got something new to add to the space with a German accent in the sports watch sector, please, I'm waiting. It doesn't have to be during a trade show. New watches come out all year now. And I can also say right here, we have Sebastian saying the crown placement only works for Seiko. Okay, stylistically I see that, although it's also been attempted by GP. Avi B, Sea Dweller if you're going diving, but in this price point, we can't quite buy a Sea Dweller. All right, Black Bay wins for JBO Surf from Adelaide, Australia, but like sphincters, as he says, everyone has one. I find them more pleasant than sphincters, though. Also, Cam is saying Black Bay if you're going to desk dive, Sin if you're going to actually dive. Cam, I'm giving you the final, I'm giving you the final word there. All right. So, I do want to call out the best article of the week. I know we've got some Grand Seiko fans in the field here tonight, and I can also see Aeolus 1982 saying this is better than Hodinkey's Friday Live. Thank you. I love you for that. You should enter our next drawing on Watches Live. You just might win. But right here, best article of the week for fans of Japanese watchmaking at the highest level, written by SJX, link, by the way, in the description for those of you watching it recorded. Comparing the best of Japanese watchmaking, this is the title, Grand Seiko 8-Day and Crador H2. Most people call it the Eiki, but it's pronounced H2. Now, the thing about SJX is he's one of the most connected and knowledgeable watch journalists. He's also a collector, so he writes from our perspective, and we can identify with what he says. Now, he's a big fan of Crador and Grand Seiko, and he regularly goes to the Micro Artist Studio in Shiojiri, Japan, Nagano Prefecture, to actually meet the watchmakers and see the process in motion. Now, the Micro Artist Studio makes both of these watches. The H2 came out in 2014. The 8-Day Spring Drive Grand Seiko, the first Micro Artist Studio built Grand Seiko, came out in 2016. Both of the watches are finished on a level that you would conventionally associate with the likes of Lange & Heine, Kari Voutilainen, or Philippe Dufour. Now, SJX always offers great photography alongside his narrative and descriptions. Hand-painted dials are highlights of these watches, and his exceptional macro images, as you can see, of the movements, really highlight what you're getting at the top level of Grand Seiko. This is really the Crador standard. Crador is above Grand Seiko. It's something that's really only been executed at the Dufour level since the 2000s. The name goes back to 1969, but the Micro Artist Studio only came about in 2000. What you're looking at right here is a hand-painted, Japanese-made porcelain dial on the H2. Now, his macro images of the dial and the movement are worth it, but they should just whet your appetite. Once you've experienced Micro Artist, Grand Seiko, and Crador, you should want to learn more. I know I certainly experienced these watches for the first time about 5 years ago with the Grand Sonnerie, and they made a believer of me. I hope they can make a believer of you. Right now, Ryan H. commenting in the chat box, Crador is so underrated. This is an absolute fact. They only make in the vicinity of 20 to 30 watches a year out of the micro artist studio. They're all handmade, they're all hand finished. And when you look at something like a hand finished spring drive movement, for me that's the total package. Real horological value and innovation in technology that remains powered by gears and wheels and springs and pinions and pivots, lubricated and tuned by a watchmaker, and in this instance, hand finished to a degree that is so fine you can appreciate it without a loop, without magnification. But if you do go with a loop, you will not be disappointed. There's literally nothing about these watches that would let down a fan of the best in the business, even after exposure to Lange, Patek Philippe, Dufour, and his ilk. And I can also see right here, Bengali is asking, Tim, would you get a Grand Seiko? Everyone on Watchbox seems to own. Has anyone on Watchbox owned a Grand Seiko? First of all, Jason Main, my Monday co-host, absolutely he's owned Grand Seiko. He's a huge fan of the brand. We've got a lot of folks who own them and love to sell and trade them back at the factory. The factory, I call it. It's our trading floor in Bala Kenwood. We love the brand. We believe in the brand. Among us, we have those who are buyers and collectors of the brand. We even had a great collector dinner for our Golfberg Watchbox family of Grand Seiko and Crador collectors. So not only do we love the brand, but we actually host collector events on its behalf. If you guys want to fly in, I'll let you know when we have our next one. You could be our guest of honor. We support the brand. We select watches constantly to be on this channel and to be on our Watchbox Reviews channel, so I hope that you can get a taste of it. Once you've whetted your appetite, come back for more. JBO is saying, Shannon is saying to JBO, the dials are hand-painted. CFZ, Tim, you've been talking a lot about black polishing lately. Could you explain the difference between that and the Zaratsu polish that Grand Seiko does? Are these two techniques comparable? Grand Seiko will tell you yes. And I will say that from some angles, the Grand Seiko Zaratsu polish, which is executed on cases, is a lot like the black polish that's executed on movement components in Switzerland and Germany. Now, I'll say this. True black polish will turn completely black when viewed at the right angle, whereas the surfaces of the Grand Seiko cases are continuously rounded. And if I had to be perfectly honest, they're not as optically flawless as movement scale black polish. But when you look at the flank of a case that's executed to that degree, and again, you're talking about an artisan with his hands moving it along a milling machine directly against the milling wheel. That is not something you'll find at Omega. It's not something you'll find at Rolex. It's not quite at the standard of black polish on a Patek Philippe Grand Complication movement, but it's light years beyond what you'll see on case finish from almost any other brand at any other price. So I would compare it very favorably and say it falls just short, but then again, Grand Seiko, principally sub $10,000 watches. Okay, Eddie Kim joining from Florida, my old haunt. And I can see Charles Corey asking, Tim, what do you think of spring drive versus other technology that Zenith and others have offered? And he says, I know they are different, but I'm interested to know what you think. I'll be honest, guys. Zenith is doing something that's totally different from spring drive. The one common thread between them is that they start with a spring and a conventional mechanical drivetrain. So both of them are powered by a mainspring barrel spring, and in many cases, both of them have automatic winding. But what Zenith is doing is they're taking a macro-sized oscillator, a piece of silicon that is etched in one piece, and they're using it like the old tuning fork on a Bulova Accutron. They're getting it up to its natural frequency, and it oscillates at an incredible rate. The difference is the Accutron did that with electricity to oscillate the tuning fork. Zenith is doing it with spring energy and a drivetrain that is conventionally mechanical. Now, the Zenith system has high frequency but low amplitude. And the same system is being developed by Parmigiani through its Vaucher manufacture. It can achieve 0.5 seconds per day. Seiko spring drive and Grand Seiko and Crador spring drive was under development from 1977 to 1999, and in many respects, it is more sophisticated than what Zenith is doing. It can also achieve accuracy of 15 seconds per month, which will match or beat what Zenith is doing. The best Zenith is claimed is 0.3 seconds per day. And if you add that up cumulatively, 0.3 to 0.5 seconds a day versus Grand Seiko's 10 to 15 seconds, or excuse me, per month, 10 to 15 seconds per month with the Zenith system versus the same with spring drive, It's competitive. It's a dead heat. What the Zenith cannot achieve that spring drive does is a completely smooth sweep of the seconds hand. The Zenith still oscillates. Against the ear, it still has a weird high-frequency hum like an Accutron or a Beta 21 if you've ever held one of those against the ear. It has a high-frequency whine. Spring drive is completely silent. Spring drive, in my opinion, can achieve accuracy beyond what Zenith is doing with its system. And I will also say this, right now, the Zenith system is dependent on silicon parts that are exclusively machine-made and will fracture if hand-finished. So spring drive, as we saw at Crador just a moment ago, as we saw it in the 8-day spring drive Grund Seiko, can be hand-finished like a traditional Swiss or German movement. So you can have Zenith Day-Fi Lab relative accuracy, and you can have traditional movement finishing by hand with spring drive. Zenith has yet to prove that any element of hand finishing and handmade parts can survive in the era of photo-etched silicon components and the Day-Fi Lab technology. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really want to give a shout out to everyone who joined us from the far-flung corners of the world, from Adelaide, Australia, from Egypt, from Pakistan. Thank you so much for joining in. We will be back on Monday. Until then, you guys, wear your watches in the best of health, have fun, don't get into too much trouble, enjoy the weekend, and I shall see you around. I'm Tim, they're the crew, this is Watchbox, and thanks for logging on.